Hey guys, welcome to the Rusty Beauty's garage. Today our patient is this beautiful Triumph TR250. You've seen it on the channel before. A year ago we worked on it. That was last spring, and this spring it is here again for some more repairs and maintenance. I'm not gonna go through everything, actually most of it is done now, and I haven't filmed anything because it's repetitive stuff like brakes and stuff that we've done before on different cars, including that one recently. But there's something that I want to film, and that's the seats. So we're gonna replace the seat covers. This is the driver's seat that came out of the car, and it is pretty sad. So we have new John Skinner seat covers together with the foams and everything. So if you're not familiar, John Skinner is in the UK and he makes leather interiors for our Rusty Beauties, for all of them. I mean, not only all the Triumphs, but also Heelys and Jaguars and MGs and all of the Rusty Beauties, or the Rusted Beauties. He also has a YouTube channel called Classic Car Interior Trim by John Skinner Ltd, and he shows some of his beautiful interiors there. You can see the quality, it is top end quality. Anyways, for this car we're not changing all the interior, but we're changing the seat covers and the foams in the seats. And TR250 is actually a specific seat for TR250. It's not the same as the TR6, right? And it's not the same as TR4. I don't even know what the differences are. I believe the frame is a little bit different. So we're gonna take this seat cover off and we're gonna see what the condition of the frame is and if it needs any repairs, or I'm sure it's gonna need de-rusting and painting at least. Anyway, so look at this, all the other Rusty Beauties are sleeping. There's so many cars here right now. This is a friend's TR6 who is just storing it here. Well, I need to do some work on it, but that's gonna be another time. My Spitfire, my other Spitfire that lives there forever, my son's Miata. There's another TR6 in the shed that is waiting for repairs. My TR6 is in the shed. David's TR4 is next to it. Even my TR3 is over there, and also David's TR3 is in the property, but it's in the front, in the trailer. The 70 TR6 that we are also working on, my GT6 right there. We have quite a few Triumphs here right now. Anyway, let's focus on this one and get crack-a-lacking. Alright, so we're gonna talk about the actual covers later. This print on the inserts and all that, I believe John Skinner made all that look pretty much the same, but we're gonna pull out the new covers out of the box later, maybe tomorrow. Today I just wanna strip everything and take a look at the frame, and maybe if I have to repair it and paint it and all that, we can do that today, so tomorrow we can start assembling. Mosquitoes. Okay, so let's look at how this is put together. So obviously we have to start with the backrest because it's overlapping the seat. But here you see we have holes through the cover, so we have to make sure when we strip it to see what this piece of metal is here and make sure it is not poking through our leather seat, because that's going to be a disaster, right? Let's see if we can remove this mechanism from here, the latching mechanism that's for tilting the seat forward, and that's the only mechanism that this seat has. It's not a recliner. Okay, so here we have a few clips that hold the cover. Okay, we're gonna de-rust this. Now here you can see this clip that wasn't holding anything, but it's supposed to hold this tail, I guess. And here there's one more clip that holds the flap in the back. And that, I'm assuming, should be glued, but maybe not, I don't know. And now we should be able to lift it. So we have this wire cage for the bolsters. Wow, with horsehair here. That's interesting. And these are all ripped. There's one that still works. Oh, that's gonna be an issue. Unless we figure out how to repair them. But I believe they've been vulcanized there. Like this. Upholstery and interior trim seat fittings. Alright, so this is for TR6 and 250, but they are different seats. Okay, strap and clip set per seat for TR250. Wow, that's expensive. And that's what they give you actually. Okay, so what they give you is this strap that you need to cut to length and install the hooks at the end. And I don't like that. I'm not interested. We're gonna figure out something else. Ta-da! We actually have that in the box. So John Skinner also sends a row of this Pirelli rubber that you have to use to make your own webbing with these hooks, and the little plastic black thing is you have to fold the end of the rubber around the hook, and then with this plastic thing, and I guess with rivets, I don't know how you're supposed to do that, but I think that's way too complicated, and if we didn't have our straps at all, that would be definitely a good solution, but I think I have a better idea. Well, that's fixed. Look at that. All 5 are fixed. So what I did is, so I put the hooks back, the ones that were ripped, and I drilled holes here and ran 2 zip ties. That's all. And I did the other side as well. So I did all of them to reinforce them. So all these are done. Believe me, the zip ties are gonna hold forever. So these here, the pieces of metal that were poking out were actually these hooks that were getting unhooked. Now I put them back in and they came out because these ripped and this was loose here. I put them back in, and after I put the straps, they stay, no problem. The problem is this one here is broken. So I don't want to bend the new hook, but we can take this one out and weld it. Let me see if I can take this out now. Well, no, this is pulling, so it's hard, but come on. Okay. So you see, this is what was poking through the thing. Now we have to figure out a way to take it out. And then to put it back in, you know? Not sure how that's gonna work, but I don't wanna weld it here in place. So I'm just gonna go and weld it. Here. stronger than an egg. So has to come like that, but first needs to go through this hole here. Let's see how this cage was woven. Okay, like that, but now it needs to go behind this. So let's unhook all these. I've been warned that these cages break, but I believe we are all good now. Okay. Okay. Well, this part is done. So our cage, our seat back is rebuilt. So let's continue with the rest. So now let's take the bottom apart as well. Should we take this apart? Yeah, as long as we know how to put it back together, but you're gonna watch me and you're gonna tell me after. Yeah, I'm glad we kept these because they're really nice and tight and still flexible. I hope we know how to assemble them after. Yeah, these all are gonna come out together anyway, so. Okay, these are gonna stay together and the rest should be easy. We're just gonna keep them separate, right? On the right side of the table we're gonna be the right ones. On the left side of the table we're gonna keep the left ones so we don't make a mess. Good. Now let's take this apart. This is just glued there. And here as well. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these little clamps. And that's all on the cover. Now the cover should be able to come out. Oh, there's a long spring that goes through the back of the cover. So we have to take this out. Okay. Okay, it comes out with the foam because it's glued to the foam. So this was glued on the outside, like here. It was glued like this around the edge, like that. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in mind. And now the cover, if we flip it inside out, like this, now you see there's this strap here that's on the cover that is glued to the foam. So we're gonna have to unglue it, even though we're gonna use a new foam. Here, I'm just showing you so, and also making sure that I know how it goes together so we can do it with the new covers. Now here, do we have anything that is holding it down or it's just glued? So this flap here of the cover was glued inside under this bolster. Okay, and I'm assuming there's one in the front as well. Yeah. So does this entire horseshoe come apart? Yeah. So this whole horseshoe thing comes apart. Okay. Let's take apart some of this. Like I said, we're not gonna reuse any of that. I believe we have everything in the new kit, but I'm just taking it apart so I can see how it is put together, so I can put it together myself after, right? Okay. And now we can unglue this from here. See this bolster, because this is the driver's seat, that's where you come in, so this is disintegrated, but the rest, this is in a pretty good shape. If we didn't have new foam, all we needed to replace was gonna be this, which is basically a flat piece of foam, I believe. And here it has 4 pieces of burlap material that keep it from the metal here, protects it from the metal, I believe. Okay, we have a new diaphragm, even though this is not too bad, but we're gonna install the new one. Okay, so I'm gonna go de-rust this, I'm gonna wire wheel it, and I'm gonna paint it. I'm gonna have to do that in the basement because it's snowing outside, and we're gonna take apart the other one as well. And the trees are starting to get green, which is great, but apparently you are still not done with the snow. You see it snowing? It is ridiculous. It is end of April. That's so depressing. Okay, so we're rust converting the seat frame with regular rust converter, but for these clips I'm gonna use something here that my friend Eugene gave me. I don't know what the name is, but it is something that is apparently really strong. So this is 1 inch at the bottom of this bucket. He told me just to add another 8 inches of water and then use it as the same way we use evaporust. Now, I don't want to mix the whole quantity, so I'm going to mix a little bit in this jar here, and we're going to dip this, and we will see what the effect is going to be. Well, I don't think I filmed that, but I don't think I pressed the recording button. So I pickled those little brackets here in this jar, so we're going to see what effect it's going to have. And I also decided to brush on a little bit of this onto the rusted parts of the wire cage here. So we're gonna see if that's gonna have any effect. So I'm gonna put that away now, and I'm gonna start taking apart the other seat. And when the frame gets rust converted, I'm gonna take it to the basement and I'm gonna paint it. And then we're gonna be ready to start assembling with the new covers. Lots of prepping work before you actually start putting the new covers on, right? Well, it turns out that this one is in an even better shape. Even these are not ripped. But you know what, I'm just gonna reinforce them with some zip ties, just in case, you know. I'm gonna take it apart just to clean it a little bit, and we're just gonna rust convert the very little areas that have rust, but most of it can just be painted again. Okay, even the diaphragm is good. Well, we have new ones, we're gonna replace them anyway because they're good now, you don't know in 1 year, you know? At some point they give up. Okay, I'm gonna continue crack-a-lacking here on my own, and I'll bring you back eventually. Okay, so our frame is back, painted, it's almost dry, but I wanna see, like these continue to pickle here, but it's been like more than an hour and a half now, and I just want to see what's going on there. Well, we still have flakes here. Well, looks like they're gonna have to be inside longer, so I'm gonna let them be. For this seat we need 5, so I'm gonna choose 5 of these that are in a pretty good shape, because we have some that are not rusted. On the other seat we had more than 5. Here we have a lot more on this seat. On one seat we had 5, and on the other seat we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 22 in total. So I'm gonna divide them 11 and 11. Well, the other ones need to be de-rusted, but at least we have 8 that are good that we can start with, and then we're gonna pick 3 more, and I'm gonna pickle all the rest. I'm just gonna let them, I'm gonna let them sit for a while. Okay, so let's start with the assembling. So first of all, let's see if we can reassemble the cage, if we remember how to do that. Like that. Then we have this piece. Oh, you don't see? I'm sorry. Okay, the other side is like this. So there's 2 holes on the top. The one on the inside is the one for the vertical part, and the one all the way at the bottom. Okay. Then we have this piece that goes like this, and we just put it into the next 2 holes, and then the last one. Okay, I think that's it. And now we can put this to hold them, but actually they were the other way around, with the hooks on the back, something this way. Well, that wasn't that complicated, was it? I'm just gonna, actually this one looks pretty stretched, so I'm gonna try to put it, this is the tightest one, so I'm gonna try to put this one at the bottom, and this one here. Okay, works better here. And this one will work better here. I don't think they're different lengths, but I think this one is just stretched, but here is where actually we need it. Looks good, doesn't it? Now let's do the diaphragm. Install seat diaphragm this side up. Okay, so this is the difference. This side is up, and this side, you see this, like this looks different, so this is down. So let's put all the hooks first, and there's one curly side on the hook. I'm assuming this is the side that goes into the frame, because it's gonna be harder to take out after, I mean to come out on its own. Okay, I'm gonna put 2 sides, because these are gonna be the easy ones to install, and then the other 2 are gonna be much harder because we're gonna have to stretch. I'm gonna bolt the seat to the table. Let's see this front and back. That's gonna be the tricky part. So I have only one here. I'm actually gonna stretch it to the front now. See if I can do it. I need one of those T handles for the trampolines, and I have two of these somewhere, except I don't know where. Oh, wow, that's close to impossible. Actually, that was easy. Found this handle, T-handle or whatever it is called, from my kid's trampoline. Let's see now. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm able to put it in the hole, but then I need to twist it a little bit so it can go in, and that's where I'm struggling. Okay, that actually worked. So now all of them are gonna be trouble. That's why I wanted to put at least two sides and then struggle with the other two. Now I'm gonna struggle with even these two that I didn't put, but whatever. Okay, that was like, oh my god. So the T-handle didn't help a lot. The only way was with the vice grips, because I was able to, at the end, to push it in and twist a little bit, so this curly part can go in. Now, let's see what we're gonna do with the foams. And I have here this burlap material. Oh, okay, so we don't need the burlap material actually, because they replaced it, and the horsehair stuff, because they replaced it with this. So we are supposed to stick this to the frame. And for the bottom, okay, we have the same thing here. So the foam, you see, has tapered shape. The bottom is the tapered part down, and the flared part is the top. Okay. In this case, we don't even need the burlap material, because that's what we're gonna use. These are the actual covers, and you see they have this pattern represents kind of what we have on the seats. So you see how here we have this diamond engraved stuff only up to here, and here it's the same. Oh my gosh. Somehow they were able to do the same thing here. Nice. So that's for the bottom, and same thing here. And there's black piping around here, and they put it here as well. And there's white piping on the outside and white piping here. So that's cool. In this case, let's stick this to the seat. I don't think there's left and right here, even though the seat frames have left and right. It's leaning towards the center of the car. So they lean towards each other, you know. This is the left one and the other one is the right one. I wouldn't say driver and passenger, because in different countries apparently drivers sit on different sides. But the foams don't have sides, which is interesting. So for this reason, here where the cage mounts, it's offset based on the seat back. You know what I mean? So we have to center the foam in the center of the cage, not in the center of the seat, because the center of the seat would be somewhere here. But if we center our foam with the seat here, then our whole entire backrest is gonna tilt it, and we don't want that. So this is from the John Skinner's website, and these are apparently TR5 seats. So you see how the seats are leaning towards each other, and the bolsters here, you see the bolster is much wider here than here, but the lines are vertical. So that's what we want, the foam to be vertical, centered between the two bolsters, and then the bolsters obviously are going to be different shape because the cage is different shape. You see, this part is much wider than this part. Yeah, correct. That's leaning towards the center of the car. This is the center of the car, and the wider part is on the center, the narrower part is on the outside towards the door. So the glue that I'm gonna use is this one, Gorilla Spray Adhesive, heavy duty. I figured out this is the best for my needs. So I'm gonna spray just here at the side. And then I'm gonna spray a little bit on the frame here. So that's tricky. Okay. Again, we're gonna center it down there. Here we're gonna make sure the foam is just to the edge of the frame. Now here, this was wrapped around the last elastic here. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Is it vertical? Yes. I like it. Now I can spray a little bit here on the frame. Here. And I can glue it down. Here I'm not sure if I'm supposed to do this. Okay, let's leave the backrest alone for now. And let's look at the bottom foam. Can't believe this foam is so expensive considering what it is. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna mark where the insert needs to be, because that's where we need to glue these parts. I'm gonna line it up more or less here everywhere, and that's where we need to glue our flaps, these flaps. So, why this straight? Now we have to be careful not to spray on the outside. So this side of the flaps we need to spray. Now possibly should be able to flip this inside out. And now we're gonna line up this line with this line here where the stitch is, right? Because that's where the bolster is gonna be. And this should be lined up with this line like this. And this should be lined up with the other line. Perfect. And now, yes, you guessed it, we have to glue here this horseshoe thingy. So for that reason we need to spray glue everywhere. Especially here at the edges, because that's where we want the foam to glue to this foam. Actually, I have this industry cleaner, glue remover. We have to keep our table clean at all times. Let's see now how this is gonna work. So we have to fold all this like this in the center and glue this part. So we're gonna make sure we follow our lines from before, like this. And now we have to glue this part down like this, pulling the bolsters smooth. I think that we need to pull this more. You know what? I'm gonna pull this more. See now? Because this line here needs to be held down. You know, that's the idea of these straps. When you pull here, so that doesn't come up. And here it looks good, but here I don't like it because I don't know, maybe it's okay. I just want to make sure that this flap inside is super tight. So I'm gonna unglue it a little bit from here and I'm gonna pull it harder. Okay, that's better, I think. It's holding it down here, right? Because otherwise when we pull here, this is gonna take a shortcut and it's gonna start floating here. We don't want that. And now we can re-glue the foam. The foam absorbs the glue pretty fast. Just cleaning any fresh glue on the table because we don't want it to stick to the leather. We can clean it at the end, but if we don't need to, it's gonna be better, right? So now we have to glue this down, trying to keep the piping at the edge of the foam, like right here. So if we need to, we can push the foam in and then glue the flap down. Because if we glue it like this, for example, and then we do this, the piping is not going to be at the edge of the foam. We want the piping to be exactly at the edge of the foam here, except the front. Actually, when I'm looking at those pictures, you see how the piping is going at the edge of the seat, and then here it comes down. There's no edge, you know, this is round. Again, trying to make sure that the seam is exactly at the edge of the foam. We can push the foam in if we have to. Cleaning the glue from my hands as well, all the time, so we don't spread it on the good side of the leather. And now we can just test it. That's how we have to leave it for now, and we're gonna stick it to the frame. But I wanna just make sure that it looks good. I mean, there's no wrinkles, the piping is where we want it. Yeah, that's pretty good. So again, we're gonna flip it back up, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put just some strips of the burlap material here on the sides where it's gonna touch the frame. And now from the old seat, we pulled out the string that goes here. And now we can put it in. needs to go under the cage. So I can put this end here. So you see, this is where the spring goes. And now the other side, now I can use this T-handle, I guess. And it needs to hook up right here. Okay. Whew. Here is where this piece of material comes. I'm not sure why it is in this shape. Oh, it's in this shape because the seat is tapered, so the bottom is straight. Center here, so we just need to glue it around the frame and part of the foam so the leather doesn't touch the frame. On the metal part and a little bit on the foam. The straight part towards the bottom. This is my center. I'm gonna glue it here. I'm gonna start from the center. This is not supposed to hold the foam down, it's just protecting the leather from the frame. Doesn't know the metal. Okay. And now we can flip this down. Now, specifically now, I'm gonna make sure that the table is clean. You see, things like that are gonna give us troubles because we're gonna have to put the seat with the leather towards the table. So we wanna make sure that we don't have any fresh glue there. Okay, so now we're gonna flip it upside down and we're gonna start pulling on this and flipping it around and clipping it there with the clips. But we have to make sure that we don't pull too much in one area and less in the other area because our piping is going to become wavy. So we just have to keep an eye on the piping at all times. This side looks not too bad. Now for the backrest we need to literally slip it on top. It has already all the foam that's necessary in it. It has a horseshoe shaped foam inside here sewn into the cover, so that's great. Problem is now there's lots of friction when we slide it down. So what somebody's gonna suggest is to put plastic like that, right? To remove the friction. And I've done that before and I might do it here as well, but I don't like it. In general, if I can avoid it, I avoid it because that creates vapor barrier later, so the foam can't breathe. So you never know what's gonna start living in that foam later, like what kind of mold. So I'd rather let the foam breathe. So for that reason, I'm gonna try to slip it like this, and we will see how well it's gonna work. Actually, so far so good. Shut up. But the lower it goes, the tighter it becomes, right? So the other option is to flip it inside out and start from the top and start turning it the right side up as it goes down, but that's gonna put a lot of stress on the seams here, and I don't want to do that too. So I'm gonna try to just slip doesn't move at all anymore, so we might need to do the plastic thingy. No, I'm gonna do the inside out part. And this way we eliminate half of the friction, right? We only slide the top end. Now if we don't center it in the beginning, there's no way to fix it after, so we have to make sure that it is centered, which it is not. So I'm looking at the frame here in the back. I don't think we are centered, but looking at the stitches here, because where the design is here, that's pretty much centered here. Well, there's only one way to find out if it's centered or not, so I'm gonna keep slipping it in. And if we have to, we're gonna take it out again after. That's pretty crooked, so we need to twist it a little bit. In the back, you see here the piping on this side and the piping on this side. So, back out. It's gonna be trial and error, I guess. Now here I'm making a mistake. So this foam needs to go on the outside here, like here. If it ends up inside, that's gonna raise my bolster even more here. So that's no, I need to push it on the outside. I'm trying to put it tight here before I flip the whole thing down, because once we flip it down, this part here is going to be extremely hard to pull down. So if it needs to be pulled down, I want to pull it down now. This seam is going right across here, which is good. And this seam is going right across this edge here, which is good. I'm just going to flip it all the way down, and we're going to take a look at it. If we have to, we're going to pull it out again, but so far so good. Now it's important these to line up, right? The inserts to line up. And I think they're pretty good. I'm going to come look from your side. Yeah. Now this sits too high, but when I pull the strap, the bottom strap that goes under here, I pull it from behind. It actually pulls this down as well, so I think we are pretty good here. Or maybe we should twist it a little bit. You see this line pretty much matches, but this line doesn't match on the other side. This I don't like here. I don't know why it's like that. I'm gonna try to reach inside here and see what this is. I'm not sure what's going on. I've been trying to put it on so many times. I kept taking it in and out, twisting it, and I kind of put it in the right place, but the problem is right here, this. I don't like this. Like somehow the piping is sinking in and this is higher than the piping. I don't want that. I want it to be like here, the piping to be out. So what I'm gonna do as a last resource, I'm gonna take this foam inside. I think what's sticking up here is this foam. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna take the cover out and I'm gonna flip the foam forward. I told you that it needs to go towards the back, but now I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna flip it this way so we can see if it's gonna look better here. It's crazy. Okay, still not great here, but it is much better now. Okay, that's it. I'm not taking it out anymore. It's pretty good, so now let's finish the bottom end. So now this again, we know what to do. We need to pull the end of this that goes under here, sticks out here, that's it. And we need to help with this like this, and when we pull it, it's gonna stay down. So this gets glued here like this, but we need to be careful how long we make it. Let me spray some glue here. I'm gonna give it just a minute to dry a little bit. Let's take a look again before we glue it completely. That doesn't look bad. It's actually pretty good. These lines, they line up pretty well. Problem is this last line is a little bit narrower than this line. But other than that, these lines line pretty well here. But again, nobody's looking at seats this way. Everybody's looking at them the way I am looking at them right now, from this side or from this side. So I think it's good. No extra wrinkles, these are normal here. We might steam them at the end, but yeah, I think we're good. So we can finish the bottom end now. Okay, so that's how it comes. It just gets glued together with this one, and then here they're supposed to be clamped with these little clamps, but I don't know if that's gonna work with leather because it's much thicker. I already cut this because it was too long, so I cut it off. And if we want, we can clamp it here, but it is glued all this way, so I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. So I'm gonna spray glue on this one as well, and we're gonna stick it here as well. We're gonna pull hard so we can get rid of these wrinkles here in the back. Now let's pull. So I'm watching these wrinkles here. I want to get rid of them. Okay, this I'm gonna glue as well. So you see here we were able to put clamps up to here, but here it's a little bit too short, and here we don't have any place to clamp for clamps. So I'm just gonna glue this. Every time I use trim glue I say it, but you need to give it a little bit of time to become tacky. If it is still wet, it's not gonna stick. Once it becomes a little bit tacky, that's when it sticks and it's perfect. But if it over dries, then it doesn't stick anymore, right? But that's not the end of the world. You take a heat gun or a hair dryer and you warm it up a little bit, and then that brings it back to life and you can stick it. Okay, and this now we can stick. This is really good glue. I used to use 3M. This one, Super 77. Not good. Gorilla, good. Not affiliated, just my opinion. And now the last thing is this here and this here. I'm gonna try to glue it first and then use the clip on top. here. Now here we want to push this in. This. We want to turn the piping this way. So we just glue it like that. Even with just glue, this should be good enough, but we're gonna put a clip to keep it there. But here it's going over 2 layers of leather, so it is pretty hard, but okay, actually works well. And now we just need to install our thingy here, which is this one, but you know what, I need to de-rust it as well, so I forgot about that. So I'm not gonna do that now, but that's the easiest part of everything, right? Okay, so we're gonna coat this one, done. Maybe we can steam it a little bit to see if we can get rid of these wrinkles when we get the steamer, when David comes back home, because he's on a business trip. But in general, I'm happy with it. So one done, one more to go. Well, guess what? The second one I'm gonna do without you, because this video is becoming too long. So let me do it and I'll bring you back so we can celebrate. All right, so a few hours later, actually it's the next day, but a few hours of work later, and other seat is done as well. So that's the first one, that's the second one that we did, and I'm happy with it as well. They turned out pretty well. I'm happy with them. Of course, the quality of the covers is great. That's why it was such an easy installation. For example, the horseshoe foam that's inside this seat, it's sewn inside the seat cover, which makes it for harder sewing in the factory, but it makes it for much easier installation. As far as I know, the other suppliers just give you the foam separately and you have to glue it on the cage inside, whereas John Skinner, he puts it inside. I showed you how it is inside the cover, and it is so much easier. You saw I had to put it so many times on and off. It was just because of me, because I couldn't line it up properly. But if the foam was separate, not on the cover, that was going to be much harder. Anyways, it's a long video, so I'm not going to ramble anymore. I'm going to let you go. I just want to one more time tell you that I can't recommend enough buying the seat covers from John Skinner. The quality is impressive, the fit is perfect. He has 40 years experience with making these interiors, so he knows all the tips and tricks. I'm hoping that he's gonna watch this video, and if he has any tips and tricks that I didn't show here, or if I did something wrong, he's gonna correct me in the comments below. If he has a comment, I will highlight it so it stays on top of the comments, so anybody who is doing this job and watches this video can read his comment as well and do it the right way if I did something wrong while I was installing them. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for commenting, subscribing, sharing and supporting the Rusty Beauties channel. It is really appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, it's a perfect fit.